Welcome to the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez, named after the brothers whose idea for a race in Mexico was so compelling that it got presidential approval. And we're glad it did. Welcome along to the Mexico City Grand Prix. We're a long way above sea level here in Mexico today, which could pose some cooling issues for the cars as they make their way around this 2.6-mile lap. 17 corners with top speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and watch out for potential overtaking into turns 1 and 4. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Russell, Oscar Piastri and Verstappen, Antonelli, Tsunoda, Stroll and Fernando Alonso, Hadjar, Albon, Liam Lawson and Sainz, Ocon, Behrman, Jack Doohan and Gabriel Bortoleto, Gasly and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. And alongside me in the commentary box today, a man who I always look up to, which is easier said than done, Anthony Davidson. So here we are, 2.2 kilometres up in the air, which I know is an unusual feeling for you, Mr. Davidson, but for the drivers, it's even worse.
It is. The altitude can certainly get to your head, Crofty, that's for sure. Especially when you're walking up the stairs to the commentary box. I've seen it firsthand, ladies and gentlemen, don't you worry. But this circuit, the problem with the altitude is it takes away your downforce. You have to go slower around the corners because you've got less downforce, even though you've got Monaco wing packages on your car. That's the challenge of this incredibly unique circuit.
Okay, mate, radio check, please. Radio check.
Radio check.
Can now use DRS. DRS now available. Look out for a bit of understeer when trailing the car ahead. They're going to be giving off dirty air, which is going to affect our tyres, so try to get past. Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them. Okay, mate, final lap. Keep your concentration and let's bring it home. Okay, gap ahead, 5.4 seconds.
Not the easiest, but plenty for us to learn that, guys. I think very good weekend in the hall.
Thank you for everything you've done to the team. We really enjoyed it.
And here he comes. It's all go, go, go for Lando Norris as he takes the checkered flag and wins.
The fans on the edge of their seats, Crofty, and we love watching them at work. You know, it's so theatrical the way they go about their racing, and yeah, I for one thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, I don't know about you, but I've absolutely loved watching that action today, and I'm sure these three have loved taking part. Here come our podium finishers. He holds the trophy aloft, and why shouldn't he? A richly deserved win today for Lando Norris. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.